Instead, the task force is meant to root out the hidden pockets of federal government that has for too long remained in the shadows of our reach, out of our reach for even good faith investigators to reach.
More than 62 years after the assassination of John F. Kennedy, we have now seen thousands of files released on the president's death. But tonight, some of those files are still unreleased. That and more were at the center of a congressional hearing this week, casting doubt on the federal government's findings back in the 60s. Living witnesses to that dark day in American history, testifying that Lee Harvey Oswald could not have acted alone, and that it's unlikely a single bullet caused President Kennedy's death.
Based on what you witnessed, do you believe the CIA engaged in a concerted effort to cover up certain facts related to the assassination of President Kennedy?
Yes.
Are the wounds you observed consistent with the government's conclusion Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone?
No.
The testimony included allegations of tainted medical files, fake x-rays, lost bullet fragments, even parts of the president's brain gone missing. This hearing, the second on the JFK assassination from the House Task Force on the Declassification of Federal Secrets, but still untapped by that task force, headed up by Representative Anna Paulina Luna. Unidentified aerial phenomenon, UAPs. We've yet to hear a public hearing surrounding the UFO mysteries in our skies. Why is that? And could that soon change? For more, we are joined by NewsNation special correspondent Ross Coulthart, investigative reporter and host of the Reality Check podcast. Ross, it's always good to see you. Thanks for making the time.
It's a pleasure, Natasha.
Ross, was this not one of the main reasons behind the creation of this new task force? Why hasn't a public UAP hearing happened yet?
Frankly, I don't know. I mean, some of the allegations that have been raised, particularly this week, are extraordinary. I mean, you had, for example, a doctor who was treating JFK, the President of the United States, at Parkland Hospital within minutes of his being shot. Direct first-hand evidence of the wounds to the president's body. And that doctor, Dr. Don Curtis, who was one of the physicians at the Parkway Hospital, he basically, Parkland Hospital, he testified that he saw wounds that definitely came from the front of the president, i.e. not from the Texas Book Depository where Lee Harvey Oswald was allegedly located. And this is one of two physicians at Parkland Hospital who've testified to this in the past. It was quite extraordinary to hear his evidence. But frankly, Natasha, you won't see that evidence reported anywhere else except for NewsNation. It's been largely ignored by much of the mainstream media, and I find that bewildering.
Yeah,
because
why? Why do you think that is?
The implications are enormous.
Yeah, tell me why.
I think there's a resistance. I don't think there's somebody pulling the strings behind the scenes. I just think that the media is locked into a cycle of denial, that it's such an incomprehensible thing to contemplate the possibility that a president was killed in a coup d'etat in 1963, and that's what we're talking about. More importantly, as you referred, there's still obstruction from the CIA to the release of certain files. And when the House Committee on Assassinations in the 1970s was investigating the assassination, and it did find there was a conspiracy, one of the people who was involved in supposedly helping that inquiry was a guy called George Joannides, and he was a covert liaison officer with the CIA. And it's been discovered by people who were working on that committee at the time, and this was the evidence of a guy called Dan Hardway, who was a former HSCA, House Select Committee for Assassinations investigator. He says that Joannides was basically obstructing their attempt to get access to files, particularly the evidence that the CIA had on Oswald's alleged involvement in a meeting with the Russians in the Soviet embassy in Mexico City. So you have to ask, if there's nothing to hide, why is the CIA still allegedly obstructing ongoing attempts to get to the truth of the JFK case?
Yeah, still questions. And then when it comes to UAP disclosure, I mean, is this something that President Trump could expose just through executive order? I mean, why not make that move?
A lot of people are looking to the president on this issue. Donald Trump, in his period when he was running for election, indicated very strongly, in fact promised expressly, that he would make the UFO files more transparent, that he would open them up. What he's failed to do to date is sign any executive order for the release of those files, which he has done for JFK, MLK, RFK, and Epstein. So the big question is President Trump going to follow up on what he pledged he would do? A lot of people are hoping he will, including whistleblowers who are now coming forward privately to Congress. In fact, just so you know, Representative Eric Burleson this week, who's a member of the UAP caucus, he indicated that he had a whistleblower who was prepared to come forward with video of the Tic Tac to say that it's a Lockheed Martin craft. This is quite extraordinary. You have a situation where the Congress is saying it has witnesses who want to come forward. All we're looking for now is leadership from the president on the JFK and UFO issues.
It's fascinating. Ross, with the time we have, I have to congratulate you because your Reality Check podcast is now number 16 on the YouTube podcast charts, and you've cracked the top 20 both weeks since these metrics started being released. Big congrats. And what do you think is resonating with so many people here?
Well, as NewsNation's discovered, there is a huge audience that is interested in properly investigated stories. A lot of the mainstream media is stale, boring, dull, and irrelevant. And I'm really proud to be with NewsNation because we're breaking stories nobody else is breaking. And that's proven in the audience response.
Likewise. Ross Coulthart, always good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.